I've always worked by myself. I have given a few people a shot, and I will say that both times they've been the next generation. And one guy, quite frankly, told me when I showed him how to put a spring on the front of a Samsung wash machine drum boot that this job is going to kill my hands. And at the end of the week, he got his little ride along money and never showed back up. I have tried, and I'm really I really don't think I can find somebody that will do it like I like to do it, and I don't want to be looking over them 24/7. And I feel like if you get some folks, it's just a whole lot of extra stress. And some guy told me recently on one of these Facebook pages that you're never going to get rich that way. Well, I didn't start this to get rich. I started to make a living and support my family and support my I always say my camping addiction. So would I like to take a week's vacation and somebody run my calls and I not have to worry about anything? I would, but I know I'd be worrying the whole time I'm gone. Yeah. That I just, I've never really thought too much about just getting bigger. I've always been content. I stay busy. I've got a very small area. I almost don't even leave my town anymore. I do a 12-mile radius of my zip code.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want. I can completely understand that, especially the small radius. You're probably picking jobs you want. You pass the ones you don't. That's cool. And the thought had come up recently again. Somebody posted in the boot camp page, that you got to always be working on your business. And I replied, and this is what I think too. And it fits. If you're not working on the business, then you just own your job. You're self-employed.
That's right.
And that's okay if that's what you want. And, so that thought hits, like right now I'm self-employed. I'm one man show. I'm calling the shots and I'm doing all the work. Right. And there's a difference between that and working for somebody too. And I prefer this than working for somebody. But my intent is to do more of the inner workings of the business, still owning my job, be the manager instead of the tech, and, be the tech when I want to instead of all the time. And that makes me nervous too. I was just at Lowe's. I went to, remind them that I'm here. I could go every little bit and just reintroduce myself in case they got new people and give them new cards. And there was a young guy there that offered to me that Lowe's is giving him the opportunity to do classes with Penn Foster. And one of the classes he's taken is appliance repair. And he asked me, how easy is it to get into appliance repair if you go to this class? I said, dude, freaking super easy. You show an interest and people will hire you. I said, I might hire you. And I think that might have been where he's going. But that's the kind of person I want, is a young guy that is showing some initiative.
Yes.
And, feed him a little bit, give him a reason to keep coming back. But then there's always that worry that we all talk about. Is he going to take off and do his own thing, become my competitor? Is he going to rob me? So, that kind of stuff, like you're saying, man, I worry about it. It's my name. I got to protect.
I feel like it all starts with what your goals are, and your goals change over time. Typically in the sort of trajectory or life cycle that I observed from, working for a company to starting off on the own, usually that first goal is to be self-employed. And then as time goes on, that goal can sort of grow and shift into build a business, build something that can run without me, that kind of thing. And then, I think that also applies to what you're just touching on, EJ, with employees and the fear or the concern around like, hey, are they going to, take all this training and then go and become my competitor? And I would say that it also, depends on their goals. And from a hiring and an employee sort of standpoint, trying to get an understanding of what their personality type is and what their long-term goals will probably really help you, feel a little bit more confident and whether they might be a long-term sort of asset to your business or whether they might be somebody that's going to set off on their own. There are a lot of people out there that do not want to run their own business. They think they want to run their own business, but really they just want to be self-employed, or they think they want to be self-employed, but really what they want is, they have other goals, like being able to, not have to worry about paying the bills each month. So yeah, it all depends. But I do think that personality sort of archetypes are something. If somebody's in that business building phase, I think that paying attention to personality types and the different archetypes that sort of feed into different positions and aspirations and everything are really a worthwhile and useful thing to look into. If you're ever interested, I have a good website that I've used for that in the past for myself and for other people that I've brought in to help with the business.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Hey, EJ.
Yeah.
I'm going to just give you this advice. If you're planning on hiring some folks in the future, just take this for what it's worth. When you send these guys out or girls to do service calls, build a customer. I don't think a technician that you have hired needs to see the numbers. And my reason for saying that is they're going to eventually know the game. They're going to know the money that they're making you. And they're going to be thinking in the back of their mind, well, I can start my own business and this could be my money instead of making this guy rich. You follow me?
Yeah.
Send them out on the call, let them fix it, and you build a customer.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one way to do that would be starting off anyway. Me go out and do the diagnostic, collect the money, and then let them go back and put the part in.
Well, that is my goal with my son. My son is training, and him and my daughter will eventually take over this business. And that's what he's going to be doing is my part returns. So just to get him confident, I've already went out and pretty much did the dirty work, and he can go back out and replace a water valve or a drain pump and just build his confidence up. But yeah, even my own son, I wouldn't want him knowing the numbers right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I'm thinking of that as like the 1-2 punch, like EJ, you're that jab coming in, doing the diagnostic, getting everything set up, and then you send your essentially your parts installer, your other person in for that right cross or that hook. How's it going, David?
There we go. Good.
What's new with you?
I kind of caught what you guys were talking about. Oh, nothing's new with me. I still got my new tech working. He's doing really well. He's been at it, I think on his own, maybe 2 months now. And then I got another good lead on another tech. I'm going to meet him on Saturday. It sounds really promising. So hopefully put him to work. I'm just crazy busy.
Cool. That's actually right on topic with what we were covering.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of listening to that because I kind of had some, I've been doing my own thing for, I started Midwest in 2010, and I subcontracted for 5 years before that. So, I just doing my own thing. This is my first, official year actually hiring guys and trying to work the back end a little bit better, so paying attention to what everybody's saying.
I'm curious to hear from you when you're looking at hiring guys and when you have hired guys, how do you approach the concept of like, oh man, am I going to train them up and then am I training a new competitor for myself a year or two down the line?
Yeah, that's my biggest problem right now. So I was kind of paying attention because I actually got that fear right now. So I hired a guy and he's doing really well. And the guy I'm actually going to interview on Saturday is actually his best friend. So then you start to think, okay, so now I got, two techs that are best friends, and then like Scott was saying, they know what they're making, my tech knows what we make, he bills the customer out, he gets paid commission. So he needs to know, what his percentage is. Then you start thinking, well, how long is it going to be before these two are like, hey man, screw Dave, we're the A team, and so basically I'm just going to talk to my lawyer. I don't want to bind anybody legally, but to me, I don't care if they go out, but there has to be some kind of there's got to be something, they got to sign something legally that say, hey, you after, for a certain amount of years and after you leave, you can't just leave me and be my competition. I'm going to have to figure that out. I got to talk to my lawyer.
Yeah.
I know that there are a lot of companies out there that have no compete clauses in their employee contracts.
Yeah. I don't know if you can get years, but I think you can get a year. So let me ask you some questions then. One, how long were you a one-man show before you hired your first person?
2010 until December.
Wow. Okay. How long did the guy train under you before you sent him on his own? And was he green or had experience?
100% green. He's never worked on appliances. Him and his buddy are kind of like into race cars and cars. They work on cars. I mean, like crazy stuff. Way advanced race cars. So they know wiring and stuff. And I'm like, well, I mean, he works on cars. He's obviously proficient with hand tools. So I start training him. He rode with me for 4 weeks. And then I start testing them. I'm like, hey, why don't I give you, 3 or 4 calls, so I put him out on his own. He did 3 or 4 calls a day for a while. And now he's running, I give him like 6 or 7 new calls and he's got about 2 or 3 part returns on top of that daily. So.
Yeah, that's good.
But it's still rocky. It's still rocky, and that's kind of how I learned. When I first started in 2005, I didn't know, nothing, and I needed a job. I had drive. I started, and for the first year, I remember almost every call being on the phone. And that's what I tell him. I'm like, hey, you got a problem? Call me. He goes in, looks at it. He knows how to take it apart, and then he goes out in his truck. Calls me, hey, this is what I got. This, and I kind of talk him through on some, but every day that goes by, I'm realizing, like it'll be 1 or 2 o'clock. I'm like, man, I ain't even heard from my guy yet, So he's starting to pick it up. I think there's been 1 or 2 that he just like, man, I have no idea. And he's smart enough to know when he has no idea, just stop, and then there's been a couple that I had to go out and, and usually I'll bring them back with me. Like, all right, well, let's go figure it out. So.
That's cool, man. Good job. I hope it continues to work for you. Had you lined up formal training for him, like any of the online classes, or send him away or anything? You thinking about it?
No, not really. I mean, I take whatever MSA classes, and appliantology has some videos and, Marcone's classes and whatnot like that. But, just looking back at how I did it, he is enrolled for heating and cooling school, which is, I have my degree in heating and cooling as well. And even that, I've took all that, and it's just like, by the time I learn something or learn a new appliance coming out, I'm not a warranty guy. It's usually 2 years before I see it again. And by then I forgot everything I learned in the class. You know, it's just basically, I mean, being in the field is the class. I mean, you're eat, breathe, sleep every day. I mean, every day you're working on it. You're learning it, you know, you're doing it. So I mean, if he wants to do it, that's fine, but I don't think it's a necessity. I'm not saying it don't help, because if, you know, it probably works for a bunch of people and they probably send their techs out and they're probably A+ techs, but that wasn't the way I did it. And I don't think it's, you know, I don't know. I mean, I'm more motivated by the dollar. Like, you know, he's out working, he's making money, and customers are happy. I'm getting 5-star reviews. I mean, he's getting a lot of completions, you know, no major issues. So I'm not giving him, you know, super challenging stuff, but, you know, we're working our way up to it.
Good.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's all I got.
Yeah, so for some of the folks that have trickled in case you guys had something to pitch into the conversation, we're kind of talking about the, hiring a technician, and pretty much like, what do you look for and how do you approach it so that you're not hiring, a competitor, hiring and then therefore training a competitor for yourself a couple years down the line. Anybody that had trickled in that might want to chime in, feel free to unmute yourself.
Well, I'll speak up again. I mean, aren't we all training competitors? I mean, how did we all start? How did Scott start and EJ start? You know, I mean, I know I started with another company, you know, I subcontract. That's what I did. Unfortunately, the guy I worked for, you know, I had a 5-year contract, and on my 5th year, he ended up dying. So it was a little easier for me to fade out because he died. But even before he passed away, I was real young back then. I started like, hey, what if you think, what if I started doing some of my own stuff? And he pretty much told me straight up, he said, you start doing your own stuff, you're gone, because he goes, what's going to happen is you're going to take your customers and you're going to give them priority. And then my customers are going to fall on the back burner. He said, you work for me. If you're going to work for yourself, he said, fine, go do it. You're going to do it on your own. And he started working for everybody starts working for somebody and they go out on their own. I mean, I'm not saying everybody goes out on their own, but the ones who do go out on their own, I mean, you had to start somewhere. I mean, some people don't want the hassle, it's just like all you guys know. I mean, it ain't, I ain't rich, and some of these guys, I mean, there's a lot of work to it. And some people just want to work Monday through Friday and get off work and not deal with it. I mean, I'm stressed out all the time. My head is always wrapped around customers and appliances all day, every day, nonstop. And some people don't want to live like that. Shit, I don't want to live like that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times I think about hanging, I mean, a 40-hour week, at $40 an hour, with full benefits and a company truck, some weeks sounds really good.
Yeah.
But I think you just gotta train them and hope they don't. And if they do, hopefully you guys had a good relationship to where, you guys are, competition, but not real, still got a good working relationship. Maybe you guys could help each other in the future. Who knows?
So here's a funny thought. TK had mentioned the other day when I was talking to him about the same thought. And I was talking about, I want to eventually help other people start their businesses, not necessarily appliance repair businesses in my area, but service businesses and appliance businesses everywhere else. And he said, I don't care how many competitors I train in my area, as long as I'm getting a cut. And, because I started a partnership business. And so one funny thought would be, if they want to leave, hook them up as a partnership. I don't know what y'all think about that. It just popped in my head. Hey, you want to leave, start your own business? How about we hook up? You're still taking part of it, but you help them start. That might defeat the purpose though.
Well, not really. I thought, I mean, that's kind of like a franchise,
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly. Yeah.
I
Let them
did wanna-
start, send them an hour down the road and say, here, you want your own? Go over here. You can use my name and start off. Yeah. I like it.
I do too. I've thought about that actually, because you've been a like, a great company, and you already got everything set up. Your platform's already set up, and you already got some base, in your name and your area. Like you said, send them, right next to you, but an hour away or another prevalent area, and help them get started. Maybe invest some money in it for a 10% cut or something.
Yeah.
It's Doug from Action Appliance. I've watched on Facebook guys watching their comments, and sometimes they're not treated well, or sometimes maybe they are being treated well, but they don't feel like they are, and they think the grass is greener on the other side, and they're going to go start their own business. I think there's all kinds of motivations why people leave, and so as a company, I feel like the only thing that we can do is treat them the best we can, and entice them to stay as long as they can. As you talked about just a few minutes ago, some people just want a 40-hour-a-week job, and if you can give them top dollar, here in New England, 65 to 100,000 a year, one Saturday once in a great while, you don't have to do any of the backstory. Just take care of the customer and let the office know what part needs to be ordered. So entice them, if that's and try to keep them as long as you can. But if you can't, you can't. So I think my goal is to those flirting with the idea that they might want to do it for themselves. I share with them the challenges of running a business, and very transparent about the whole thing, and hope that they stick around. But if they got the courage to do it, go for it. I wonder, looking back on this, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but I've seen a huge surge in the last, this whole COVID year and this year, people getting out and doing it for themselves. And like any small business, there'll be some that stick around, and there'll be some that aren't going to make it. And there'll be some that say, hey, I tried it, but it's not my thing. And then go work for somebody again. I think it's all going to level out over the years, but it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next year or two.
Yeah, you got a good point there, Doug. I actually started midway through 19. So, I mean, sometimes it looks like I might be in that category, but I didn't start this to have my business. My initial goal was to make a little side money, and it just started taking off, and I said, okay, let's do it. Just follow where it leads. And, now I'm passionate about it. I like it. I like the grind of the business side. And to your point, if you're only doing it for the money, you're going to lose interest quick enough. You're not going to like it. Other than the part of getting paid, you're not going to want to do all the other stuff. You got to be vested in your own business to do the down and dirty stuff, and learn the things you don't know to grow a business, work on the equipment at the same time, and hiring and firing, training. It's big, and like you said, there's a lot of people that are getting into it because it's a way to make money real quick, and not everybody wants it. I didn't think I wanted it, but then I started to enjoy the strategies of growing a business. That interests me more than the repairs, but I also like fixing things and meeting new people. So it works for me, but it won't be for everybody.
Doug, I'm curious. We were talking about this a little earlier before you hopped on. Because Doug, how many technicians do you have at Action?
14.
Do you guys have like a non-compete clause with your technicians?
Yeah, Yep. It's in there. We don't pursue it or anything, but it's there.
What does that look like? I mean, like time frame and all that.
I think it's 2 years. I think it's 2 years. Again, it's like we've never pursued it. Of course,
Sure.
it's just for paper sake. I think it'd be crazy to pursue it, don't you think?
No, we're thinking maybe you would know.
Yeah, no, I don't think the lawsuit and the time and the energy would be worth it. And you ultimately would have to, in my opinion, because it hasn't happened to us, really be so bitter and upset to take time to build your business and to get on track to trying to go and sink some guy who's gonna try to take you down that worked for you. I know that it hurts to see people get better, learn the good things that we do, and then go and try it themselves. But that knowing what to do and then actually being able to execute it, it's trial and error, right? They're going to make mistakes. You're going to think, EJ, right? You were doing it part-time, and I think it was the middle or end of last year. You said, that's it, I'm going all in. And I think that you might be, I would say you're probably a little bit surprised about what it was going to be. Maybe some days thinking it's not as hard as I thought it was going to be, and other days going, holy crap, right? And then, you're on fire now. Now you're probably thinking about your 5-year plan and what am I going to be like in 5 years? Employees, franchise. You're a crazy guy, EJ. You're a big picture guy, and I appreciate that. But we don't have time to focus on people leaving us and trying to pursue them and keep them out of our area. It's just not worth it. Take care of your customer, gobble up the customers and keep them for life.
And I imagine that just having that non-compete clause in there can be a barrier for I don't know how frequent these would be or how many, but just the technician or employee that's applying and trying to get the job with the sole intention of, let me learn how they do this stuff, and then I'm going to go out on my own. I think that somebody who just in the process of being an employee, sort of the idea gets put, the idea develops over time. That's different. But I imagine that if there's somebody trying to go into intentionally just kind of spy and learn with the goal of leaving, might look for a different place once they're introduced to that.
I hired somebody who did it for himself and worked for other people, and there were red flags right from the start, and it turned out to be a hot mess. Dishonest. Ended up whatever. The tech stories, the horror stories. No point in hearing them. And now he's doing it for himself again. But I knew what I was getting into. But you're right. I don't know that somebody's going, hey, I'm going to go work for that most successful company in my town, learn everything I can from them, and start my own business. I think that they start to see the idea of doing it for themselves after. It's a lot. It's a lot of moving parts, right, Alex? So, but they're not there to steal your secrets and take you on. And I believe the owner of Action Appliance sometimes feels that way. Like, oh man, you see it. You see a program that we have that we created, and they just change the name of it, and it's identical. Boy, that just gets into your craw. But you know what? That's flattery, man. They're copying our ideas. So that's how you kind of got to settle with it at the end of the day.
All right.
Most definitely. Anybody have any more thoughts on this topic, or should we shift gears a little bit?
What do you got in your pocket?
Well, I've been thinking a lot about we've been talking about it recently, but call scripts, CSRs, receptionists, and that sort of that intersection point where a lead has the opportunity to become a customer, but more importantly, like how that that call can be used to sort of fuel how prepared the technician can show up. I'm curious, how many of you guys try to collect like a model number when you're booking a service call? And I'd love to hear from you guys, like, how does that go? Because I imagine that, like, how do you approach that? If you ask for a model number and they're like, it's a Samsung, like, do you talk them through where to look, or how do you go about that?
Hey, let me tell you this. Yesterday, my wife got a call. The guy had a Whirlpool Cabrio, and she kept asking for his model number. And he sent her a YouTube video of a Whirlpool Cabrio repair. I was like, what the heck is it? But to answer the question, we probe a little bit. I mean, if it's like pulling teeth, we'll just say, okay, whatever. But and sometimes they're not home, so we ask them to text it to us with their name later. But we'll try to get them to find it, take a picture of it, and send it to us if they can't see it. I've thought about it being an end all be all. Some people have said that if they can't get a model number, then they don't get an appointment. But I don't feel like that. I feel like, I want the call, but if I can have the model number, I can be better prepared. And that's what we say is, well, if we find, maybe he can possibly depart with him if it's something common. What you got? Yep. Same thing, huh?
We're not a warranty company, and so we don't do a lot of triaging and pre-ordering. We don't have warehouses near our office, so when we ask for it, just to save technician time, more often than not, strangely, customers would assume that we will definitely be fixing it in one trip. We didn't say that; they inferred it. And so now we've removed that from our script, and we don't ask for a model and serial number. And I've listened to some of my CSR's phone calls because the customer's going, I offered it and she flat out denied it. And if you had taken it, you would have brought the pump that she needed. So, I actually had that conversation with a customer today. So for us not being a COD, just a COD company, and I'm not going to be pre-ordering things, I'm going to go out and try to do it, and if not, get back as quick as possible. Asking for the model number seems to create more conflict, but I know the warranty guys need to get that model number up front for first time complete.
Yeah, personally, I don't have time. I wish I had a CSR. I mean, Monday I took 100 phone calls in and out, while I'm trying to run 10, 11 calls a day. I mean, I don't want them rolling, oh, hold on, let me go get my glasses, let me try to find them out. I ain't got time for it. Just give me your name, phone number. I'm really professional, and just give me your name, phone number, address, what make and what's going on with it. I write it down and put you on the schedule. We'll figure out when we get there. Like Doug said, we're COD only. I mean, I drive a 3/4 ton van, and I'd like to say there's probably not a lot of people that carry more parts than me. It's stacked full. If I got it, I got it. If I don't have it, I don't have it. Now, that being said, if they're like, hey, my oven's got a bake element that's broken half on the bottom of it, well, then I'm probably going to be like, do you have a model number? Because I know exactly that they know exactly what the problem is. For something like that, I might try to see if I got it on my truck. If they sound pretty legit on knowing exactly what they need, I might ask for one. But other than that, I personally don't care.
I think as you were talking about script, Alex, and we've kind of gotten away from it. If you offer something extra, like a service plan, like we have a service plan where you don't pay a service charge if we come out and you don't get it repaired. It's free visit. And we've gotten away from it, but it used to be in our script. If the customer reacted, we have 7 CSRs, so we need a script. And if the customer reacted like, "Woo, wow, that's a lot of money to come on out and just take a look at it," then we would begin to kind of grease the skids to say, "Well, have you ever heard of our VIP program?" And then it's like, "No, well, let me tell you a little bit about it," and then that preps the technician for when he goes in the house. We'll put a little note, mention to see if they, ask if they want to sign up, and it works, But I do think your script should be setting the technician up for success by asking some other questions, about whether the dryer, when was the last time the dryer was cleaned out? You're out for the washer. When was the last time the dryer was serviced? And depending on the answer, okay. And then you can put a note in the ticket for the technician to be able to mention it. And we're not high sales or pitch. We don't pitch or any like go crazy, but it's a shame to not give that customer an opportunity to get the dryer cleaned out for an additional labor charge while you're out for the washer. I think some customers would appreciate it, and those who don't like it say no or don't want it. But those are the things that I think the script can do is begin to see what else action has to offer to the customer, and then the CSR is mentioning it for the first time, the technician's bringing up the second time, and that gets it closer to maybe successfully completing something extra.
I want to touch on what Doug just said a little bit. I mean, that service plan, that's something that I always think about. I don't just do appliance repair, I do heating and cooling. So in the heating and cooling world, service agreement is big. Everybody, all your major heating and cooling companies have a service agreement. I don't. I'm only one guy, with a service agreement in the heating and cooling world. I didn't even know how it really how it did in the appliance world. But in heating and cooling world, it's, you get your cleaning checks in your spring and fall. With me only being one guy, I can't go out and sell 1,000 service agreements because I can't go out and do 1,000 cleaning checks every spring and fall. I'd have to have, manpower, a lot of workers going out there and doing it. But also that's kind of how your company is valued in the heating and cooling world. Like how many contracts do you have? If you got 5,000 contracts, that's a guaranteed X amount of dollars, So when you go to sell your company, it brings a lot of value to it. And there's a big heating and cooling company in our area that just over the last couple of years, they start getting into plumbing and electrical, and they just came out with an appliance division now. So they pretty much do it all. And I was talking to one of their appliance techs the other day, and their service agreement is $33 a month, which seems high, but they do electrical, plumbing, heating, cooling, and now appliance repair for $33 a month. I don't know the whole, you get 20% off and free cleaning checks on certain appliances and whatnot for the year. But I just think about like how many of them could you sell at $33 a month, with all your, that's a lot of money. That's a whole lot of money.
Yeah, the best part about the
it's another revenue stream
is the chance to upsell, even at a 10 or 20% discount on the repair. You're upselling rollers or pulleys, belts, different things. So at $33, I did the math, like almost $400 a year. Plus, you get the opportunity to be back in their house and upsell.
Yeah, like me, with the heating and cooling, you're talking, spring and fall maintenance checks for every one I sell, and as just even with a couple guys, I don't think we couldn't run all those calls and still take the calls that are coming in. So, unless you have, now I don't know, I would like to see a service agreement strictly for appliance repair, Doug probably knows more about like, what are you offering? Like what's in the service agreement? Do you go out there every year and clean coils on their fridge? If you got Sub-Zeros, are you maintenance in that? Or do they just get a discount off of do they just get the free service call? I would like to see one structured out and how it actually plays.
I mean, there's many ways you can do it. For us, I believe it's that commitment to a service fee. So I'm old. I got a lot of gray hair. Maybe not as much as EJ, but I started right out of high school. So I was fixing stuff. Well, that's not so bad. I might be older than you, EJ. But to me, I just imagine if a customer that's 40 years old in a 6-year span has called an appliance repair guy 3 times, and all 3 times it wasn't worth fixing, they decided to buy a new one. There can be this point where all of a sudden customers believe that that is a disposable product. And the only service call that we might get is one who's overpaid and overcommitted, some Samsung refrigerator with a tablet in the door for $3,000. Yeah, he's stuck and he's fixing it. So I just want to make sure that the customers in my area don't feel like appliance repair is a disposable industry. So I'm afraid when we don't fix things. So if I can get them kind of committed to our company to call us, and it's a free diagnosis. If they don't fix it, it's free. If they fix it, then they get like a very deep discount, 20% or something like that. And then we have to make sure we let our customers know, let us be your first line of decision making. So you've got a leak near your dishwasher, which is near your sink or under your sink, near your disposal. You can get it wrong. You could try us, and then we might say, hey, oh, that's your sink sprayer. You need a plumber, right? But then you call the plumber first, and gosh darn it, it's the dishwasher, right? And I let them know, let us be your line of defense. If we come out there and we say it's your plumbing, it was a free visit, so that's what I'm concerned about, is people thinking, oh my goodness, forget this. I'm just going to go buy new appliances when they break. And I think that's slowly on the rise. So that's what our main service plan is about. It's making sure that enough customers are locked in that it doesn't cost them anything to find out. I'm tired tonight, so I'm rambling. Sorry.
No, you're good. No, that's a good I guess motivation that's a new concept to me. It's like your service plan or your maintenance plan is more of a line of defense for your primary service, as opposed to like a passive or a recurring revenue source.
Yeah, I like what you're doing there, Doug, and really every time I hear you talk, it's your company is so customer focused, and I like it. We've been talking about in the last week or two what sets you apart, and that's one thing I want to be known for, is that we take care of the customer. So I love the ideas. So question, I think you said, but who sells the package? Is it the CSR or the tech or both?
Well, certainly it comes best from the technician, I think, because if they've had a great experience, and the technician's giving them a business card and letting them know, hey, this is my area. If you ever need me again, I'm here for you. And that's regardless of whether we fixed it or we helped them through the challenges of deciding whether it should have been fixed or not. With pulling out your laptop and showing them Best Buy and helping them figure out what's their best machine, all that develops a relationship. And at that point, mentioning a way for them to have this sort of agreement with us that will save them money ultimately and be there for them, I think the tech should do it. But when we sell an appliance, we give one free to the customer. And again, I've gotten away from it, but I in the past have offered the CSRs. If you're getting into a conversation with the customer and you're building a bond and a connection there, and they're freaking out about price or something, if they sell it, then I'm going to reward that CSR for selling it as well. But I think it comes best from the technician. I really do.
Yeah, I think so too. We do a lot of the same things, trying to help them through their process of the decision making. If it is a replace, and standing by them when I do a COD, home warranty call, help them through the process, let them know that we're there for them. Would you care to kind of role play a bit, and how does it come out, like the verbiage when you're in the home, like, hey, by the way, we have a maintenance plan. How's the delivery?
Well,
put you on the spot.
It's not necessarily. Let me just take one brief moment to get sidetracked. I don't own Action Appliance. I mean, but I've been with them since '93, and I've, at one day I'll probably be part of it. But when I used to start going to the conferences, okay, the USA conferences, when do you begin to share your successes? You want to lift a guy up, a brother up. You want to share what works for you, and then when when you're doing well, you're like afraid to. Again, I'm tired tonight. I never want to be afraid to share too much, because I don't think that we've got some sort of Willy Wonka candy magic or anything. And I realize this is a recording, but all right. So all right. I can't believe I just rambled to you poor guys like this. Okay, so listen, I'm gonna do it. All right, here we go. So when you've gone there, and the scenario could be that you quoted them the price and it's just not worth it. They've decided not to do it. At that point, you can say to them, hey, so you owe me a service charge today. Here you go, sign your. And at that point, you can say to them, we do have this blank program. And basically what it does is it covers your entire home free of any service charges for an entire year. That's all your appliances. I saw the freezer in the garage, and yeah, that's where I keep the venison when I kill the deer every year. Okay, cool. And it's this much. And if you sign up today, I'll give you a discount off the service fee. Or if you do the repair, you can say, hey, did my office mention this blank plan to you? No. Let me just go over it really quickly with you. If you'd had it, your repair today for $400 or $350, you get this discount here. And because you're a VIP member, you also get this. You have to use the online coupon, so you're going to get an additional discount. So if you sign up today for this price, you're going to save $80 on your repair today, or $70 today. And so a lot of times it just comes down to the math that it's stupid for them not to sign up, because you've got the regular price, let's say it's $100 to sign up for it, but you can save 80 if you do it today. So you get the discount, and you've signed up. That customer's locked in. And they might have done it just to save a ton of money in that agreement that might normally cost $100 and renews at $100. You'll get it for 40. Why would you not do it? And it's a home run the next time you go back to look at the stove in 4 months. They'll say it to you. They'll go, man, I am so glad I got the plan. And we celebrate that together. And then renewal time comes. Then if you've got the right program, you can do it on an auto renewal basis, or you can email out. But once it gets going, they typically keep renewing, So, yeah, I mean, you got to hook them and give them an opportunity to appreciate that. They'll use that discount right there on the spot if they sign up that day.
I like that. Thank you, man. I know that was a little awkward to put you on the spot. I appreciate it.
That's some good stuff there. Thanks, Doug. And I think that we can dig more into some of the stuff that I heard here on future calls, like really presenting the math to help them make an informed decision on potential upsell or, something like that. And yeah, no, this is good. This was good, guys. Let's wrap things up. Like Doug, I'm a little tired tonight. So I'm going to wrap things up, and thank you all for showing up and contributing. And I'll have the replay posted up on the internet probably tomorrow, but no later than this time next week. And we'll be back same day, same time next week. Hope you guys have a nice night.
Thanks, Alex. We appreciate it.
Likewise. Take care, y'all.